what if I told you that the most undervalued form of currency in today's global economy is femininity? And no, femininity doesn't mean the female gender. When I say femininity, I am referring to a spectrum of skills that are historically coded as feminine. Things like intuition, care, and storytelling. But what if these soft skills weren't soft at all, but sharp, scalable, and profoundly monetizable? Let me tell you the story of an edtech company. They hired 2 people. First is Ankur, who is perfect on paper. He knows 3 coding languages, he builds apps in his sleeps, and he never misses a deadline. And then comes Diya. She's not flashy at all on paper, not the best resume. But in her interview, she spoke about things like how students feel, not just how they perform. Then comes the results. Ankur's code was of course perfect, but at the same time, students believed that it was robotic, cold even. But Diya, her features were consistently rated the highest. Why? Because before building anything at all, she always asked one question: how will this make a student feel? Now, both of these people are valuable, of course, but in the intuition economy, where emotional intelligence is the new edge, what do you think becomes harder to replace? Ladies and gentlemen, we're entering a new age. One where logic isn't power because everyone has Google, everyone has ChatGPT. I can come up with a business plan in 30 seconds. Your skills can't match mine because we have the exact same skills now. So what makes something irreplaceably human is the feminine skills. Ladies and gentlemen, the future belongs to the art of storytelling, of intuition, the ability to make a person feel seen, heard, and inspired. Today, we're shifting from the information economy to the intuition economy. Even businesses know this. Today, nobody is selling features. Everybody is selling feelings. Leadership isn't authority, it's relational intelligence. Luxury isn't leather, it's emotion. And ladies and gentlemen, the feminine has always been brilliant. It's just rarely been valued. So why don't we value femininity? Because it is today's invisible infrastructure. Just like the electricity, just like the internet, you only notice it when it's gone, right? You only notice it when it's gone. And that's the absence of the intuition economy at work, when teams collapse just because there was no peacemaker. So, today I want to talk about 3 fundamental problems. First, we don't understand and appreciate the value of this femininity. Second, even if we do, there's no right way to measure it. And third, and the most important, we have a currency exchange problem. The same skills that create enormous value are often the least compensated. So why is there such a disconnect here? The answer is actually pretty simple. Capitalism was designed to measure machines, not mood. It was built in a factory mindset where you only think about revenue, inputs, outputs, efficiency. But today we live not in a factory, but in a network. And in a networked world, what becomes the operating system? Emotional fluency. Which is why you'll see that teams that have psychological safety innovate more, right? Companies who have emotionally intelligent leaders outperform financially. So what do we do with this insight? I think there are 3 clear steps we need to take. Rename, reframe, and revalue. First, rename. These aren't soft skills. These are hard skills and deserve as much value as anything. So let's start calling these power skills. Second, we need to reframe. Emotional labor isn't extra, it's essential. And caring isn't a weakness, it's a strength. All this intuition we talk about is just a sophisticated form of pattern recognition that we now need to learn to third, revalue. This means compensating emotional labor fairly. This means valuing the impact of empathy in our organizations, and most importantly for the audience in this room, this means teaching intuition with the same rigor with which we teach subjects like calculus or chemistry. Now, I want to introduce a framework that I came up with. I like to call it the intuition economy framework. And basically, it talks about how do we go about measuring something like this in a more structured way. So imagine the x-axis where you have internal, your own ability to understand your own feelings and intuition. And then on the y-axis, you have external, which is relational resonance, your ability to understand and empathize with other people. In today's economy, we reward people like Ankur, who fall on the bottom left. The mechanics, people who are neither good at emotional resonance nor good at their own intuitive understanding, but they're excellent at following rules and logic. At the same time, we devalue people like Diya, who are at the top right. They may not be the sharpest in the deck, but they know how to bring a room of people together. And that's why, if you care deeply, if you feel intensely, if you notice beauty and you create safety, you are the future of the economy. I'm not saying let's abandon logic, but I'm saying that it's time for us to bring the entire spectrum of human intelligence to the table. The intuition economy isn't coming. It's already here. The only question now is whether you're bold enough to name it and claim it. Thank you. You've been a lovely audience.